fuck it, you know? I just wanted to come on here and I keep recording this over and over and over again. And I don't know whether there's something else I need to be saying or doing differently. But I just wanted to hop on here and talk about karma and what some of my karma looked like so I can relate to you how karma can work in terms of being a spiritual coach versus being a spiritual reader, etc. So a lot of my karma was around my body and identity, as I've been talking about in these videos, like how I meant to look, how I perceive myself. And I've been doing these videos about talking to my future self. And I think this is coming up because of that, because I had this weird dichotomy with having like being really insecure when I was young because I was overweight, I was made fun of a lot, and I just told myself so many negative things about myself and how I looked. I didn't think I was attractive. My narrative was just running in my head like, I don't think I'm attractive. I don't think I'm like these other girls. I don't think and the narrative is how I saw myself. It was just a story. And so, as I got older and people would start to like me and like my body and think I was attractive, and, that was kind of my karma. I had this physical world, let's say, beauty. In the fact I fit into this category of the blonde with the hourglass, and all of a sudden people were perceiving me in this sexual way, and I didn't see myself that way. I was running a narrative in my head that I wasn't attractive, so it was very, very confusing to me. And that was a part of my karma, and that's how karma can look. It can look like we're telling ourselves a narrative inside of ourselves, and then on the outer, we're being perceived in this whole other way, and it's so confusing. So basically, how I looked was perceived in some sort of way, and that mix of things just drew in this kind of victim experience where, on top of it, I would go and I'd get jobs, and I would be hit on. I was hit on by multiple bosses at multiple jobs. And here I am walking into this job or this experience, and I'm thinking in my head, I've been living in this narrative my whole life that I'm unattractive, I'm unworthy. And then all of a sudden a boss would be like, hey, I want to take you to the movies. Hey, I want you to feel good. And I would just feel so ashamed because I was already living in such shame. It would just scare me. And it was hard because no one would believe me when I told them about it. And they would, kind of not even check it out. And then eventually I just stopped telling people when it happened. And I became so uncomfortable around getting jobs. The idea of this karma around, being perceived as beautiful, but then being rejected, like inside, was what my karma was, because that's, regardless of Me Too movement and all of that, I don't believe anybody should be doing what these men did in these jobs. And I think it's great that people, awoke to that. But the awareness was that in my consciousness somewhere, I was doing that to myself. I ran this whole thing about beauty, rejection, and shame, and all of my tie-ins around that. And it was really hard because any men I would be around or any experiences I would have where I was fully seen, I would get so scared because I had this karma running, like this blonde that gets hit on, and she can't be working in any place because then the woman is going to get jealous. And it's just, I know people are going to judge this too, but being blonde and being, having this type of body that I have, and I don't think I have the perfect body. By any means. I judge the shit out of myself because of my body my whole life. But having this type of body that mentality that people come and hit on it in workplaces, or like this story, like it just scared the shit out of me to be anywhere. Especially jobs, and be perceived in this way by people that were authority figures. And I know Hollywood's talked about all of this, but that is a karma I was in. Having this body that is sexual, and having this dual narrative in my brain, that I'm not the type of person that can ever have this or that. And I would see other people just like very outwardly okay. Like some people have karma where they can relate with the world and just be in that sexual presence and not give a fuck what other people think. But I just felt like I was hit on so many times. I mean, like by bosses. And I was so confused by it. I was hit on by, I did these like tests, movie tests, and I was hit on by a boss there. He came up to me and he was like, I was leaving one day. I must have been like 18, 19. And he was like, hey, if you ever want to go to the movies, like, I just want to make you feel good, as I'm like exiting. And he had like a wife and kids. And it felt so slimy and disturbing to me. And I left and I quit. And my family was like, just completely just like, we knew that job wouldn't work out for you. And I just had no basis of truth in my life, or people that acknowledged me for my truth. Another job I had was I was a babysitter and or nanny, excuse me, and I was just so young, and the dad of they're very wealthy people, and the dad of this family asked me to give him a massage, and he would pay me for an extra hour. I don't know how he said it or what, but I was like confused. I didn't think of it as he's coming on to me sexually in that moment. And I went into the room where he was reading to his child in the room with the lights on. The child was right in front of him, 2 feet away, falling asleep. And I started massaging his arm. I mean, I thought and then the kid's falling asleep and passing out and obviously ignoring this very uncomfortable moment. And he reaches over and turns out the light as I'm doing this. And I'm like, lights on. And at that moment, I knew something was off. I felt really uncomfortable and got a little shaky. And I was like, okay, I'm done. I gotta go. And I left. And the next day he fired me. So that just started in any position, just what I started to believe about myself was that what I made that to mean about myself was that I was always going to be some sort of like hit on. I always had to be uncomfortable, and I was never worthy of having something greater than these jobs. And to protect myself, I just started not caring and about these different jobs. and whatever job I got, I just made it to believe that firing from him, I made it to believe that I wasn't worthy of anything greater. I was worthy of such less than that job, like so little. And I literally had no self-esteem in any job. I was freaked out that everybody, any male was going to come on to me, that any woman that was around the male was going to be jealous of me. And I didn't fucking know why, because I had such a poor view of myself. Like, it was almost like I had this body, I couldn't control it. And that was my karma, having this body and being really uncomfortable with it and not knowing how to deal with it. That is a karma. And I think that ties into everything I've been talking to. Well, I'm going to say is immediately when I started becoming aware of this karma that I was in, I somehow could come into alignment with, and I still work with it a little bit, but just rising above, learning to rise above it. That's the intention. Realizing it's a karma to be a woman. It's a karma to have the type of body that you have. It's a karma to have the type of experiences that you have. You're balancing something out. And I truly think I was balancing out some sort of karma around being a spiritual person in a very physical body. And for some reason that had to do with being uncomfortable around men, power, men in authority, and this is a common karma a lot of people have. That's why I'm talking about it so vulnerably. Being uncomfortable with all of this stuff. And I truly think it's coming forward right now because I've been doing these videos talking to this future self of mine, which is so beautiful and allows herself to be seen and just lets go. Like, it's okay to have this body. It's okay if something like that happens. Like, I had nobody to come and tell me this is okay, like, or it's not okay, or it's okay to feel how I feel about it. It's not that it was okay, but it's okay to feel how I feel about it. And, you know, right now I'm just, if I was talking to my future self, I feel like this future self of mine would come to me and just be like, this is all perfect. Everything that happened to you was perfect so you could become this leader, so you could step into your leadership, so you could lead others, and so you could have a strength of this knowing and help others who walk through it with their physical bodies that they may be uncomfortable with. And just how powerful that's going to be to so many women, regardless of if I talk about it or if I express it through my art. But the energy I carry is going to have a strength about it because I've had to walk through this. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about, now a little bit of emotion is coming, and I just want to talk a little bit about those experiences and how tough they were, how challenging that can be. Even I know people are going to be like, oh, well, blonde people that are blonde have big boobs, and people are getting these big, you know, whatever. Like, oh, poor her. But for me, it was hard to walk around in this body where I had a completely different narrative running in my mind, and how confusing that was in what I was supposed to do with all of that. So I really feel this future self of mine reaching out to me, holding my hand, helping me realize. Anyway, Thanks for watching.